Zuko and Mai, childhood friends who eventually got together. If you're a fan of that trope, you're probably happy, whereas if you're not, or if you never liked Mai to start with, you're probably not a fan of what happened. But it is nonetheless worth considering whether the relationship between these two lasted after the end of Avatar: The Last Airbender. One of their most positive interactions comes when Zuko says how beautiful Mai is when she hates the world. For Zuko, falling in real, passionate love with his childhood crush makes more sense than it would for some of the other characters. While his childhood was not perfect, it was significantly better than his present. He had his mother to protect him from the tyranny of his father. Ozai was extremely powerful, but he was not, at that point, Fire Lord. He wasn't even the Crown Prince yet. Iroh was. Those are days he longs to return to, and I don't think it's absurd to see his attraction to Mai as something of an extension of that. However, Zuko's journey throughout the show is not one of valorizing the past. Uncle Iroh, in one of the best episodes of the show, The Storm, talks to a member of the crew about Zuko's dream being nothing more than a fantasy. He will never return to the past, and although believing that he can is better than surrendering to despair, it is not a viable path forward. He can only progress by realizing he was wrong. At the start of Season 3, he is back in his father's good graces. He is in a relationship with Mai. He is the Crown Prince again. Everything he said he wanted earlier in the show, he has now. Even Azula doesn't want to kill him. He doesn't realize this immediately, but none of this is good enough for him. He realizes it's unsatisfying, and he turns his back on it. This is harder for him because he cares about Mai, but he still manages to do it. His relationship with Mai is kind of secondary by the end of the show. She seems to love him significantly more than he loves her. Allow me to clarify what I mean by that. Mai's life is one of boredom at the start of the show. In adolescence, she has enough self-awareness to know that she shouldn't really be dissatisfied, considering that her material conditions are vastly superior to those of a lot of other people, but that self-awareness does not stop her from being dissatisfied. This is a young woman who joins Azula's hunt for the Avatar just because she has nothing better to do with her life. Though Azula has to use force to convince Ty Lee to join her, no such thing is necessary with Mai. Despite being intelligent and competent, she always keeps her voice down in her family and never speaks out of turn because she does not want to disrupt the upward career trajectory of her oafish father. In part, her attraction to Zuko is not so dissimilar from what draws her to Azula, the royals. They have the confidence that comes with not having to wonder what a faux pas could do to your father's career. Think of what Azula boasts about in Season 2, how there's a difference between power that one believes is given to them by divine right and power attained by scrapping and scrambling and outsmarting people. It's the difference between needing to keep practically focused on the world around you and just gliding through life, unbowed, uncaring, the entire world handed to you. Of course, even if that explains her childhood attraction to Zuko, it does not really explain why she continues to love him, even when the country has turned against him. Though she does not understand why he made the decisions he did, she can't stop herself from loving him. This is because of her commitment to him and her compassion for him, but it is also because she can empathize with the struggle he faces in breaking free from the influences of those around him. Indeed, she's wanted to do this herself, and she finally does in episode 315, The Boiling Rock Part 2, when Azula tries to defeat Zuko. The safe choice is to stay with Azula. It would be hard to object to her making this choice, considering the circumstances she faces, considering, number one, how kind of terrible Zuko has been to her, at least from her point of view. From her point of view, he has betrayed her for an ideal she doesn't really understand. Number two, again, her father's a governor, and it does not make sense for her to so blatantly contradict the party line. And number three, Azula, at this point, is looking like she's probably going to be the next Fire Lord, so it would be best to stay on good terms with her. What Mai does is basically career suicide, and yet she does it anyway. She loves him that much. However, there are signs that not all is right in their relationship. Zuko is surprised near the end of episode 321, Avatar Aang, when he sees that Mai has been freed from prison. This raises a lot of questions. A significant amount of time is implied to have passed between Zuko's defeat of Azula and the speech he gives with Aang near the end of the show. He would have died in his fight with Azula had it not been for Katara's help, and even with her help, he's still in deep pain, clearly. He's been struck by lightning and was only partially able to redirect it. Yet, enough time has passed that, although he's still bandaged up, he can give a speech with apparently only slight pain. Ty Lee has joined the Kyoshi Warriors. Ozai is in prison and has been there for a significant amount of time, it looks like. There's this vast assembly in the Fire Nation capital city. All is at peace, and yet he never once thought to order his girlfriend released from prison, even though he would be completely justified in that, even practically, considering she was imprisoned by the old repressive regime, and he is standing here as a symbol of the new, more peaceful, more enlightened regime. So why doesn't he? Now, you could make many excuses about his actions. You could say that he's just been in that much physical pain, and he still needs to heal. You could say that as the new leader of a country, he has had a lot of stuff to deal with, and it's just slipped his mind. But going into this kind of proves my point. It's not that he doesn't care about her, he does, but she's just not as high of a priority for him as, say, his relationship with the Avatar, or his duties as the new Fire Lord. It's to the credit of the quite excellent Avatar The Last Airbender comics that they understand this. Mai breaks up with Zuko in one of these comics after she learns that Zuko has been hiding from her that he's been having meetings with his father, the former Fire Lord Ozai. She correctly states that he loves his secrets more than he loves her. Fear not, though, if you are a fan of this couple, for they reunite in a subsequent comic trilogy, Smoke and Shadow. In that trilogy, she starts dating Kalo. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. A boy she does not love as much as Zuko. She partially dates him just to prove that she's not tied to Zuko. However, by the end of the comic trilogy, she is broken up with Kalo. Even though Zuko hurt her in the past, she still loves him. She will always love him. This does not necessarily mean that the relationship will work, but it does mean that she is willing to try again. Based on the information given in the comics, it looks as though Zuko has learned from his mistakes and is willing to tell the truth to her this time. It's not unreasonable to think that they stay together. and thus that Mai is the mother of the future Fire Lord Azumi, Zuko's daughter, who assumes his position as Fire Lord by the events of The Legend of Korra. Mai and Zuko have a tense and fraught, but still, I'd wager, compassionate relationship that I'd like to see succeed, honestly. Especially if they learn from their mistakes and grow even closer to each other than they were in Avatar. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching Avatar. It's a sharp, brilliantly written show that is increasingly receiving the attention it truly deserves. It really is profound, and I love how it constructs character relationships. There's always more to those relationships than there appears to be, and you really feel that you're getting a full portrait of what's going on, not just a simple superficial summary of it. The show deserves a lot of credit for that. Anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.